Alright, welcome back, dudes. We have another cut test today. We're still doing them, even though not very many people watch them. We're still doing them. We're pumping them out because I enjoy doing it, and I think they're going to be beneficial to some people. So, we are cut testing with the Opinel number 7. This is the 3-inch bladed version of the Opinel. Classic knife, really not meant for hard use at all. You can see how thin the blade stock is right there. This is a carbon steel version. They also make stainless versions. This is a carbon steel. The specific steel is XC90. And check that edge out. Unbelievably sharp and slicey. So XC90 I have never dealt with before. It's a Scandi grind, meaning there's no edge bevel. It just goes from the spine all the way down to the cutting edge. There's no secondary edge bevel. This is not, like I said, this is not a hard use knife. This is really meant for kind of very light uses, cutting cheese, stuff like that. But we're gonna put it to the test here. We're gonna cut some cardboard. Let's do it. 20 feet, and immediately this is passing through cardboard easier than any knife I've ever tested. I mean, geez, it's like paper. Now, I've already done a cut test of this, but I did it live. I wanted to try to do a live cut test for the first time, see how it went. It was fun, but I'm doing it again just so I can put this in the playlist for future people to watch. So, destroying the cardboard. Really thin, really clean cuts. Super duper clean. Yeah, really ergonomic too. I mean, it's a roundish wooden handle, so of course it's going to be ergonomic. There's no clip to get in the way. Super duper lightweight as well. And the locking mechanism is that rotating collar. So you open up the blade, you turn that collar around, and that holds the blade open. I don't think it's a super strong lock, but I think the wood would probably crack before the collar bent or gave away. And you're not going to be using this knife that hard anyways. So for what it's used for, that's a perfectly strong lock, I think. Let's try some utility cuts. This is not a great knife for it. You can see we have a high tip with a lot of belly. I would call it a clip point blade. So I'm almost raising up to like a 90-degree angle with my wrist. But when I do that, it creates a very clean, thin utility cut. So not very comfortable at all to do it. But if you need to, the knife can absolutely do it. You'll notice the cardboard isn't moving at all after the cut. It's just staying exactly where it was, which is kind of weird. Usually they like flip out of the way. But look at that. They just stayed perfectly flat where they were. They just got cut. Kind of cool. So yeah, not a very comfortable utility cutter. Not a good utility cutter, but if you need to do it, it'll absolutely do it. Let's try some curvies. Really, really good. That's a little more curvies than we usually do. Pretty darn good, man. Pretty freaking good. Let's test our edge out. We still have a very sharp edge. Now, before you start thinking, oh, this is the sliciest knife he's ever tested. Why don't we all just buy Opinels instead of these expensive, more expensive knives? And the answer is, it's not tough. It's not a work knife. It's not a work knife. It's a wooden handle and very thin blade stock that it's not meant to hold up to any kind of real big cutting tasks. So that's one reason. Another reason is the blade shape. I would never EDC this type of blade shape. It's just, for what I do, it's just not practical at all. Also, the spine is really sharp. Putting pressure down on the spine with your pointer finger, like I like to do, really eats into your finger. You can see the indentation it left. Now you could kind of soften those edges on the spine, but it's just really thin, so it's gonna kind of bite into your finger regardless. So those are a couple of reasons. Another reason is very slow deployment. Use both hands to open and close it. So there's a lot of reasons, but that doesn't mean this is not a useful knife. Here we're cutting some rope. This is not the polypropylene rope, this is just nylon, so this is easier to go through than the stuff I usually use. So keep that in mind. If we were using the regular stuff, it would not be cutting this easily. But still, it is cutting nice and easily through this nylon stuff. So yeah, that's not to say this knife is not useful at all. I can definitely see reason for someone to carry this in their pocket as a backup knife, for sure. As a backup to their kind of more heavy-duty regular folder or fixed blade, whatever. Yeah, I could definitely see it as a pretty good backup. Now, I don't know if they make them in like drop points or sheep's foots even. I don't know. I've only ever seen them in this kind of clip point-ish blade, so. The strap, it's almost all the way going through, which is actually a little better than I thought it would do. It felt like as soon as I got to where the belly started to curve up pretty aggressively, that's when I slipped out of the cut. But check it out, man. There's a few spots on the blade that I think has gotten very, very tiny little rolls or burrs, but man, we are still gliding through the paper. Surprising. Very surprising. Super surprising. So, yeah, man. This held an edge better than I thought it would. Really a lot better than I thought it would. Yeah, I was surprised. I'm going to try cutting some more of this nylon rope just to see if I can get it dull. I kind of wanted to get to a point where it wouldn't cut paper anymore. So let's cut up a few of these little pieces of nylon rope and see if we get it dull from this. Even this type of cutting like this really hurts I'm trying to put my pointer finger kind of not on the blade, further back on that collar now. And it just kind of sucks doing that because you don't have very much pressure down in the blade with your finger that far back. For this type of cutting, it's really helpful to get your pointer finger out there as close to above where you're cutting as possible. But with this knife, it's just not easy to do. It's painful on your fingy. And this might be considered a fail, but at the same time, with the right angle, it's still cutting paper. So I don't know, man. Either way, this held an edge way longer than I thought it would. Oh boy. Let's get the strap out. I know already that this straps back real nice. So let's do 10 strokes per side. And I will show you how well it straps. So this XC90 carbon steel, whatever it is, seems to be pretty darn good. I mean, obviously it's not as good as the blade steels that we typically see on folders, right? Or else we would be seeing this XC90 on titanium frame locks, wouldn't we? Or would we? I don't know. I don't know anything really about this blade steel. If you do, and let me know in the comments. Maybe it is just as good as S35 VN or something. I don't know. Probably not. But at least judging from this test, it held an edge longer than I thought it would. But there's a lot of factors here. The very thin, slicey blade, it's still going to slice well, even with a slightly duller edge. Then, here's what I'm trying to say: a knife with super thick blade stock, and a thick measurement behind the edge. When that blade gets a little bit dull, it's not going to slice paper well. It's going to slice paper worse than if an edge got dull the same amount but had very thin blade stock and thin measurement behind the edge. That's what I'm trying to say. So, anyways, you saw after the stropping, holy crap, just as sharp as we were before we started. Able to do some curves in the paper. I mean, really sharp. Here I'm showing some of the flex in the blade, which is another reason, why we don't all carry Opinels instead of what we normally carry. Another thing is, when I was putting pressure into the tip for more like utility style cuts, I could feel the blade flexing as I was putting pressure into it. It was just not a very secure feeling. I could feel it moving around and kind of flexing. But man, overall, I'm impressed, dude. I am impressed. I also think this is a pretty cool platform for doing some modifications. I've seen people mod these things out hardcore. I think it'd be fun to maybe try to chop one down, turn it into a sheep's foot, maybe strip the finish off the wood and put some kind of other finish on it, or do some kind of patina on the blades. So I think you could have some fun with these, and I think they'd be a pretty good backup knife for when you want something just real thin and slicey. So that's it. Thanks for watching, dudes. I love ya. Let me know what you think in the comments, and please like the video before you head out. I love ya. Peace out. Later. Adios.